Tropical Storm Ernesto is headed for the Caribbean islands. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Naso with the latest on the tropics. When we take a look at this water vapor imagery, you can see the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean Sea, the Western Atlantic. This large area of moisture is all associated with Tropical Storm Ernesto, and it is all moving towards the Caribbean at a very rapid rate of speed. And we should see a direct impact on the Northern Islands, the Leeward Islands, British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, and then Puerto Rico, and perhaps an impact on the island of Bermuda later on in the week. Nevertheless, this is going to be a quick run here for the islands as the system moves in very fast. We're going to talk about it. Here's the latest as of 5 p.m. Atlantic time on Tropical Storm Ernesto. It didn't have a center for the last 24 hours, and it finally got one, and winds are 40 miles per hour, so that designates it a tropical storm and it gives it a name. And it is currently at 16.0 north, 57.5 west, and that puts it about 295 miles east-southeast of Antigua. And so it is headed in that general direction, and it is going very quickly, 28 miles per hour. I have been tracking hurricanes for decades, and let me tell you, it is not very often that we have a system moving this fast in this area of the tropics. I mean, it is racing at almost 30 miles per hour, which means this time tomorrow it's going to be nearing areas near St. Croix in Puerto Rico. By this time Wednesday, north of Puerto Rico. By this time Thursday and Friday, nearing Bermuda. So this is going to be a very quick system, which is good news for heavy rainfall. It won't be like, say, Debbie was, where it sits and mills around and drops a lot of heavy rain, but you could still have 4, 6, 8 inches of rain through the islands as a tropical storm blows through. It should become a hurricane, and then at least a Category 2 hurricane. It could even become a major hurricane later on, but it won't be a hurricane probably until Thursday. It needs to organize more, and it's moving so fast, it's so large, it's so sprawling. That doesn't do well for intensification quickly. So it looks like it'll remain a tropical storm as it moves through those islands. But because of that, we do have a tropical storm warning in effect for the following islands: St. Kitts, Nevis, Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla. We also have a tropical storm warning for the island of Guadeloupe, St. Martin, St. Barthélemy, the British Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and now we have Puerto Rico under a tropical storm warning, as well as the islands of Vieques and Calabre. So again, we have this whole region here of the northeastern Caribbean Sea under tropical storm warnings as Ernesto heads towards land. Now this is the Barbados radar, and it's at, where is it at? Let me look back there. 16.0, 57.5. So remember that, 16.0, 57.5. So if you look 16.0... 57, so this is about 16.0, 57.5. So the center is way up in this region here, okay? So it doesn't have a well-defined radar presentation, and a lot of the rainfall is affecting more than just those northern islands. We've got heavy rainfall here moving in areas of Barbados into the Windward Islands too. So this is a very large, sprawling system, and that's why we have the threat of heavy rainfall, but thankfully the fast movement. But again, it looks like the center's up in this area here. So right now, if I were in, see if I remember these islands, this is Guadeloupe here, the one shaped like a butterfly. That's Guadeloupe. So if you're in Guadeloupe, the center's probably on target for you right now, but if it continues the northwestern component to its track, west-northwest, it might be more towards Antigua, Barbuda, that area up there, maybe the northern islands. Here's a look at the true color visible image as it starts to get dark out there. The sun's setting. Look at that, how the sun sets over the system. Pretty cool, huh? Again, there are those islands. We've got, let's see, we've got Barbuda and Antigua up here, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, and then you've got Dominica down south. So these are all in the path of Ernesto. But again, this is not like Hurricane Beryl was last month in July, where we had a tightly coiled major hurricane with an eye wall. We have a very ill-defined, nasty-looking tropical storm blowing west-northwest at almost 30 miles an hour. So again, while there will be impacts and you are under those warnings, this is nothing like a Category 4 hurricane that they had in the Windward Islands. So be thankful for that. At least for now, the hurricane season is still young. Now, where it goes, these are the GFS ensembles. They keep it pretty weak, but they seem to be in good agreement with a turn to the northeast out ahead of that trough moving off the eastern seaboard. But right in this area where I circled there in red is the island of Bermuda. And look at, boom. Those model guidance runs of the GFS go right over. And look at that there. Same thing on the European model. And the European wants to make it a very powerful hurricane out here in the western Atlantic. So again, it's too soon to rule out an impact for land masses further west. But I would think the Bahamas, Florida, even Hatteras, you guys might luck out. It looks like there's that barrier there, that line I drew, where it's just not going to get past that line. But Bermuda is squarely in the path, and that's why we're going to watch it so carefully. The key messages for Tropical Storm Ernesto. Number one, Ernesto is expected to bring tropical storm conditions to portions of the Leeward Islands late tonight and Tuesday, and to the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico by late Tuesday. Tropical storm warnings are in effect. I'm going to tell you guys, if this motion keeps up, this thing's going to be in a lot quicker than we think. Number two, heavy rainfall. You could have considerable flash flooding and mudslides in the Leeward and Virgin Islands, through Wednesday and over Puerto Rico late Tuesday into Thursday. But again, we're looking here 8 inches locally. If this thing was crawling, you'd be talking about 28 inches. So be thankful of the fast motion with regards to the heavy rain. Number three, it is too soon to know what impacts Ernesto could bring to Bermuda later this week, and interest there should monitor the progress of this system. No doubt we're going to keep a watch. Again, there will be this troughiness moving through the United States. It's going to sweep off the eastern seaboard, and that will save America from Ernesto, but it will not save the U.S. Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico or Bermuda. So that's bad news for the Caribbean and potentially for Bermuda. Better news here for the Bahamas and the eastern seaboard of the United States. But again, a lot of moisture, a lot of gusty winds, and some water rises there in those islands, especially if you are facing certain bays where the wind can push on shore like that, the bays facing that direction of the oncoming storm. So again, we're going to watch it very carefully. We'll continue to monitor any intensification. Right now, it looks like it's trying to get a little better organized. But again, if this weren't so large and shaggy, it would have a better chance to strengthen more quickly. If it was smaller and if it slowed down, I'd be more concerned with intensification. But nevertheless, it is August. Those waters are warm. The upper level conditions look pretty good. Right now, it just needs to consolidate, take a breath, slow down a little bit, and strengthen. It could be close to a hurricane intensity as it moves through those islands near Puerto Rico. So we're going to watch it very carefully. Stay tuned. I'll have more on the tropics as August rolls by, and of course more on Ernesto.